Greetings, it's Shalana May. I'm feeling Omi, and right now I'm going to show you all how I'm sewing the letters onto the fabric so that I can finish with the progress on the baby quilt. So if you remember the eye with the sun at the top, if you look at previous videos you'll see this. What I've done is I've stitch witcheried the little points on the circle and ironed the circle down with more stitch witchery to in the position that I wanted it to be to the fabric so that I don't have any pins in the fabric. And now I'm creating a white stitch design in a spiral circle in the center of the sun, and then I'm going to outline all the points with white stitching, and that's what I'm going to show you. And then I've finished the letter N. You can't really see that, but I did the stitching around this, and I've already done the other side of the quilt, the tie. This is the gin part. Okay, so if you are interested in learning more about this quilt, you can go back and look at the rest of the videos. If you like what you see, please subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate you all, and I'm grateful that you have been watching my videos. So here we go. With this particular technique, and I don't even know if that's what you want to call it, I'm pretty much doing this freestyle. Okay, so it's a freestyle technique. Whatever works for you. My stitches are not perfect. Even on, I'll give you a close-up of this. Even on my, you can see those white stitches. Even on my other letters, the stitching is not perfect. See how I get a little bit closer here, and it's a little bit further away there. So this is all freestyle. The ticket to this quilt is putting the love into it, and adding little bits of creativity, like this little patch of sun as the dot over the eye. Okay, so I'm not trying to win any quilting awards, but I do want a nice size quilt. Now I'm running into a little bit of thickness here, so I'm just going to, I think my stitches are already kind of high. I was going to raise that a little bit, maybe a little bit more. Is that as high as it goes? Oh, there we go. Looking at the wrong numbers. So I'm widening my stitch a little bit to get through the thick part. Okay, and now I'm going to take it back down, and I'm just following the edge of the circle with the side of the foot out here around the edge, and I'm going to spiral into the center. I already did the red one, the red eye at the end of tie, like this. So I just wanted to show you guys how I did this in a video, so when you see it you kind of know. So once I get into the center, after I make a complete circle, I'm just going to use these stitches as a guide for the outside of my presser foot. Well, I guess the outside would be the side underneath the sewing machine as opposed to this side, so it's the inside of the presser foot. I'm just following the outline as an outline to keep the circle as round as possible. I learned how to use, this one looks like it's turning out a little more round than the first one, which is cool. I learned to use a couple of different what do you call it, features on my sewing machine tonight more smoothly, thanks to a couple YouTube videos that I can put in the description below. But I learned to use my automatic needle threader pretty easily after struggling. I also learned how to use my speed control and my needle positioning. So I bought this machine right before the shutdown happened, when COVID was, just beginning, because I knew I was going to need a new sewing machine, and I wanted to get one before there weren't any. So I'm really glad I got this sewing machine. So I finished one circle, and now I'm basically just going inside and using this outline as a guide on this side of my presser foot, the side that's on the inside, not this side but the other side. Okay, so that will give me about a half an inch of space in between each spiral. And I'm just going to keep going around and around until I get closer to the center. So, and I'm going to have you guys bear with me on this, because I want to show you how I do these also. And then that'll be the end of this video. Everything else is pretty much easy. Just, follow the outline of the letter until you get all of them sewn down. And you can do that according to your preference. If you want to sew down all the edges, if you want to sew down some of the areas where the fabric overlaps, and sew those seams down. I found on my I wanted to do that, but on my N I didn't want to do that. I didn't like the way that was gonna look. So, and when we're done, I'll show you what I mean in another video, when you get to see everything completed, which will be the next video pretty much. This is coming out so much nicer than the first one I did. A lot smoother. Which is cool. Then I used a little decorative stitch in the center that my sewing machine has. It's stitch number 55 on the menu. It's kind of like a little circle. More so came out like a little oval, but it's still, a shape that's brings attention to the center. Of the circle. And I think I'm almost done here. Spinning this around. Okay, I think that's good. So I'm going to back stitch this, and then I'm going to do, I guess I could do my little stitch from here. So what I'm going to do is turn this way into the center so that the stitch, make sure you angle your needle where the stitch is going to go into the center of the little design that you just made. So I'm going to go forward maybe 2 or 3 stitches, and then I'm going to change the stitch pattern to a different pattern. Okay, so now I'm going to change my stitch pattern to stitch number 55 so that it matches the other, and you'll see what I mean when I'm all done and I show you in the next video. It's just creating like a little circle. Well, actually, like I said, it's more like a little oval in the center to bring attention to the center of the, and then I'm gonna back stitch that so everything stays in place. Okay. Alright. Oh, that came out really nice. Okay. I like that. Can you see that? So it's just a little spiral design. And then I'm going to sew around the little points and stitch those down. Okay. I know it doesn't look very very precise, but once it's all put together, this quilt is going to be really cute. It's going to have a whimsical, really whimsical effect to it because everything's not precise. And that's the theme. Okay, so now we're going to sew the points. I'm just going to show you guys how to do like 2 of these for the sake of time. And then I'm going to finish sewing down the rest of the letters, which is the bottom part of the I and the J. And then I can start putting everything together. Oh, I bought some fabric for the border too. So that's going to be something that I have to add to this. So let's see. We're going to start, I find it's easier if you actually start at the base of the triangle and you sew up to a point, stop, and then sew down. And then I've been coming across to the next one in the white part and then coming back up. That way you can't really see the stitches at the top and the circle part. But if you do, that's okay too, because I think I got a couple of them where I did that, where it did go on the orange part, or it was actually red. The other eye is red instead of yellow. All right, so we are going to turn this down like so, make it a little bit easier to see and control the stitching. Okay, now all right. Okay. So I'm not really sure if you can see that. I kind of need you guys to be a little bit closer, and then we might experience technical issues if I move you closer. Can you see that? The glare on the machine doesn't really allow you to see that. I'd have to like turn it off for you to see. So I'm gonna start at the bottom and sew up, and then I'm gonna start at the bottom over here, and I'm gonna sew up to here, and then down to here, and then I'm gonna come across on the white part until I get on to the bottom of the next one, and I'm gonna come up and go down and do the same thing. Come across on the white part till I get to the next one and come up. Okay, so basically that's what I'm going to be doing, and you may not be able to see because of the glare of the light of the machine. Make sure my needle's in the down position when it stops, which is a wonderful feature. And we're ready to go. I widened my stitch width because these little triangles have 2 layers of fabric, whereas the circle only had 1 and folded over. So this has 2 layers of fabric and 2 layers of seam allowance folded under. So really on the edge here there's 4 layers of fabric. So that's why you need to widen your stitch when you're doing these, okay? Otherwise your thread is going to snap. Alright, and we're going to start, and then we're going to back stitch. And then we're I was having difficulty determining where to stop. And I found I always needed to go 1 extra. I always stopped like 1 stitch away from where I wanted to flip it. So now I'm flipping it and I'm going down the other side. And we're going to do this 10 times because there are 10 points. Cut any of your excess thread off. So you get the picture. And that's going to be this portion of the quilt. For some reason I really enjoyed doing this part. It just seemed so fun to me. Getting these little points down. I think it was because I thought this was such a creative idea for me. So yeah. So coming across the white part now, so I'm coming across, I came down to the bottom here and I'm coming across the white part instead of going on top of the yellow till I get to the next one, and then I'm going to sew up. Okay, so you get it, and if you get on top of the center piece of the yellow, that's okay too. So that's it. Alright, I'll show you the end product in the next video.